Hey, what's going on, y'all? How is everybody doing? It's your guy, man, Mr. Willie Ray Johnson Jr. And please do me a favor, man. If you coming over and you checking out this video, just let me know which one of my social media platforms you came from that brought you to this here video. All right. So I won't be before y'all long, man. Like I said, I'm just a normal, average, everyday guy. I did serve in the military, did 20 years. I did work at a high school in El Paso for a while as a ROTC instructor, and I coached football. All right, so now I am full-time into trying to help and teach people some of the things that I've learned over the course of my life when it comes to finances. Okay. Like I said on some of my videos, and if you've watched any of them that's on my channel here, I'm just an average guy, man. I did not come from money. I did not inherit any money. I am literally on the path of trying to build wealth. Okay. And just please understand, I like to preface that because I don't want anybody to come on here and think that I'm already like this multi-millionaire who has lots and lots of lucrative businesses, because I don't have that. Like I said, I was able to save some money. I was able to put some money into some investments, and I did it the old-fashioned way. Like I had to learn it. I had to have someone teach it to me. And now what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to do the exact same thing, okay? Because I need for people to understand average people can build wealth too, okay? You don't have to be born into it, but what you can do is you can create something so that those that come behind you have something that they can build, they can continue to add on to. All right. So these videos are going to be very, very raw, very, very unscripted. I do have some notes right here that I'm going to show you. Okay. This is just to keep me on track. But again, I just want to be able to relate to the average person. And that's all this is about. Okay. So the name of this series is Stormproofing Your Finances. All right. Because I do understand this. Tough times are going to come, ladies and gentlemen. It's inevitable. I don't know anybody who's ever lived on this planet who didn't have tough times. But the difference is in how you prepare yourself to be able to handle those tough situations when they come. All right. So this is going to be a lengthy series. I mean, everything I drop, I'm going to drop it right here into this particular folder on my YouTube. Like I said, it's titled Stormproofing Your Finances. All right. So before we can even start talking about that, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing we got to talk about is this 6 inches of space between your ears. Okay. We have to learn, and we got to make the ground in here prepared and fertile to be able to receive the information that we're going to talk about. Okay. So I'm titling this first video in the series, A Mindset for Prosperity. Okay. Like I said, man, a lot of us, like we go into ventures and we already have our minds made up before we even give it an opportunity as to if it's going to work or not. Okay. When it comes to your finances, man, nobody knows your situation better than you do. So you have to be willing to be honest with yourself about it. But you also have to be willing to have the mindset of growth, the mindset of going out and winning. And you have to be able to understand that your old way of thinking will not get you to a new way of living. Okay. So I got a couple of points here. I got 3 points. And I got some sub points underneath that. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is mind before money. All right. I've been working with a gentleman for the last 8 years, man. And he always says that to me. He says, Willie, mind comes before money. All right. Now, what does that mean? It means just what it says. We have to change the way we think about money, ladies and gentlemen, because some of us don't see money for what it truly is. And because we don't see it that way, it never finds its way to us. Okay. So the first thing is this. A lot of us learn about money and the structure of it and how it works from our parents. Okay. Now, I want to say this. I don't knock anybody, man. I would never talk bad about my family. My mom was an amazing woman. She taught me a lot about everything. But when it came to money, she could only teach me what she had been taught. Okay. So that's the first thing we have to understand, man. A lot of us think about money and how we learn about money comes from our parents. Now, I want you to ask yourself this question. When you look back on that and you look at where you are now, are you happy with what you were taught? And do you wish you could have learned more? I do that all the time. I self-reflect. Like I said, I would never knock my mama, man. She taught me what she knew. But I know right now that in order for me to get better and for order for me to give something to my children, I have to self-improve. I had to change the way I thought. And I'm actually seeing it in my own life, and I'm actually seeing it in the lives of my children. Here's what we got to understand. This is my next point. You got to start being willing to change the conversations that are had at your dinner table if you're going to get your mind right for money. See, I've been around some wealthy people, and the conversations that they have are a lot different than the conversations that I grew up having. See, when we would sit down at the dinner table, we talk about, the Dallas Cowboys, or we talk about the local people, or who's doing this and who's doing that. Wealthy people have different conversations. They talking to their children about, hey, you need to make sure you are saving X amount of dollars. I'm looking at, this particular stock, or this person down the street is, trying to sell their land. I think I'm about acquiring that so that gives us another asset. See, the conversations are just different because of the surroundings, because of the upbringing, okay? And the next thing that when it comes to money is we got to be careful about the behaviors that we practice. See, when I was growing up, it was always, work hard, pay your bills, and hopefully after you pay your bills, you have a little bit of something left over. That's not a bad strategy. But again, how successful was that strategy? Look at who taught you that and look at where they are. Okay. Again, this is not a knock, man. This is, in order for you to get better from a financial standpoint, you got to be willing to have very, very real, raw discussions, because you can't get to where you're going if you don't know where you came from. Okay. So that's my first topic. All right. That was mind before money. You got to make sure that we clean this up. We got to get rid of the old ways of thinking. It's kind of like a farmer, right? When he goes out there and he looks at the ground before he starts planting, he got to till up the ground. He got to make sure that the ground is open and ready to be able to receive what he's about to drop onto it. Okay. So we got to make sure we get your mind right first. All right. Mind before money. The next thing is how we think about money. Okay. A lot of us, man, just are under this impression that if I just work hard and make my money, I'm going to be okay. I heard this from another gentleman I got a lot of respect for, and write this down if you're taking notes. Hard work and success are not synonymous. It's not, y'all. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but like I said, let's just go back and look at your people. I can go back to my neighborhood I grew up in, and some of the most honest men. They were great men. They worked hard. They worked hard to make their money. But because they didn't have a financial plan, they literally, some of them died broke. And that's not a knock on them. They took care of their families, and that's what they were supposed to do. But we got to get out of this way of thinking that just because I work hard, success is going to come my way. That's not how it works. Okay. So you got to change that. Got to be careful about how we think about money. Okay. Now, some of the false sayings that I've heard growing up about money. Okay. How many of y'all have heard this before? Money is the root of all evil. That is crazy, right? Here's something, man. A lot of people like to take scripture and quote it to fit them. See, there's more to that scripture. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Okay. Now, here's something else. And I've learned this. Like I said, this is just what I've done, on my journey. One of the things that I think a lot of people miss is this. The only thing that's talked about in the Bible more than love is money. See, people love to misquote that scripture, but they also forget to tell you about this. In the Bible, it says money cures all things. See, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of these crazy thinkings that we got about money, because a lot of them come from people who try to take money and make it this evil thing. But if you use money for its intended purpose, it will bring you good things, which brings me to my next point. Money is just like any other tool, ladies and gentlemen. If used properly, it will give you exactly what it's supposed to. I want you to think about this, right? I'm not a very handy guy. Like, I can do like little things, but like, let's say for instance, if you took your car into a mechanic, right? And the mechanic was trying to change your tires, but he was trying to take your tires off with a hammer. He's using the wrong tool, ladies and gentlemen. In order for him to take the tires off your car, he got to get, I think they call it a compression thing, or like, you know what I'm talking about? That thing right there. That's going to take the tires off a hell of a lot faster and more efficient than if you was in there with a hammer trying to beat them off and stuff like that, okay? Money is a tool that, if used properly for its intended purposes, it will bring you more of it, all right? And that brings me to my last point under how we think about money, and it's this. Money needs a job, y'all. Your money should be working for you to make sure that it's doing its intended purpose. All right? My mentor tells me this. In your household, your money needs to circulate at least 3 times before it goes out the door. See, a lot of us have money, but we using it to do everything else except giving it a job within our own house, within our own life. This is going to lead into some other stuff down the road, but here's what I need for you to understand. A person who takes money and cultivates it, the money will come back to them. Okay? Money wants to work. So find a job for it within your own household so that it will bring back more money to you. Okay? All right, we're getting to the end here. I've been on about 12 minutes now. If you still with me, man, drop me a comment. Let me know you with me. Tell me, hey, what you saying makes sense. Just give me a little bit of interaction. I am going to come back and I'm going to read these comments and I'm going to make sure I interact with you, okay? The last thing is this. When it comes to having a mindset for prosperity, you got to make sure you feeding your mind the right things, okay? And what I mean by that is, like, sometimes when you start trying to get ready to go to a level where you getting ready to grow and you trying to better yourself, you got to start eliminating people. Because some people, when you start to your journey for growth, they're going to do everything necessary or everything within their power to stop you from growing. I want you guys to like do some reading. Every now and then within these, I'm going to drop a book that I've read that was very impactful for me. Okay. Some books, some people I listen to, things like that. Okay. One of the books I want you guys to get a hold of is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Okay. This book has a wealth of information in it, and it really helps you understand the mindset between the rich and the poor. Okay. And like I said, I'm not knocking anybody, but again, all of this stuff we talking about, the very basis of it is this right here. You got to change how you think. So you got to start feeding your mind the necessary things to be able to receive the things that we're going to be talking about as this series continues to go on. Okay. And I make sure I reference back to these things so that you be like, oh man, yeah, it did say that in the book. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm just out here giving up things that I think work. I want to be able to back it with data, with evidence, so that when you go out and you see these things, you could be like, damn, Willie talked about that in one of his videos. Okay. See, what this is going to do is this is going to create a connection between you and me, but it's also going to solidify the things that I'm telling you, so that when you see them, you'll be like, man. So then when you start to share these things with people in your circle, in your life, you can go back and be like, hey, this is where I got that from. That's continuity, y'all. That's what we're trying to build here. All right. Another person, things to feed your mind. A gentleman by the name of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is a world-renowned speaker. He's passed away since then, but he is a world-renowned speaker. He's talked to many of people about how to take systems and put them in place, and how to change your mind to be able to receive the things that you're trying to get to. All right. I've been listening to him for, I started my financial journey back in 2017. I've been listening to him ever since then. And what I'm going to do within this here series is I'm going to drop some tidbits from the people that I listen to so that you can hear it for yourself. Like I said, I want to be able to back what I'm saying with proven data and strategies, not just some stuff that I'm making up on my own to try to show you what I'm doing. I want to show you where I'm getting the information from, okay? And one of the other gentlemen that I've spent a lot of time listening to is Dr. Miles Monroe, all right? Dr. Miles Monroe, man, he talks a lot about prosperity and money from a biblical sense, okay? And like I said, if you one of the people who don't believe, I'm not mad at you for that. That's your business. You do that. But the things I'm going to be sharing with you are going to come from that perspective, okay? Everything has to have a basis, and you got to have a strong belief system, and that's just what I'm going to be sharing with you. That's not me trying to change you or anything like that, but like I said, this is called stormproofing your finances. And this is what we're doing right now is mindset for prosperity. You got to be willing to listen to some people who can make things relatable to you so that you can be able to go out and do exactly what it is you're wanting to do within your financial life. Okay? So, I'm getting ready to wrap up here. We've been on, this is 16 minutes now, okay? If you've been with me this long, like I said, man, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Like I said in my other videos, man, like whichever platform you came to me today from, I told you, like, I want to interact. I'm not just out here trying to show off myself. I want to learn from y'all too. I am a firm believer in you are only as strong as the people you listen to and as strong as the people that you can take and give information to. Some of y'all out there probably watching me and you got some good stuff going on that you're using. Hey, man, share that with me. I am not above learning from anybody, all right? So, with that being said, all right, today's first video was mindset for prosperity, okay? We talked about 3 things. We talked about fixing the mind before money, okay? A farmer would not go out and try to plant seed on ground that is not prepared to receive it. You got to make sure that you're doing the work between the ears to be able to receive what we're going to be talking about throughout the course of this series, okay? The next one is how we think about money. A lot of us assume that because you're wealthy, you're evil. Or a lot of us assume that, you know, if I just pray and work hard, then it's going to take care of me. Here it is again. Faith without work is dead. If all you doing out here is just praying and hoping and wishing that something happens, keep that strategy and let me know how it works. You got to be willing to go work. You got to be willing to change the way you think about money, because some of the thoughts that some of us have about money are keeping us from obtaining money. Got to change how you think. All right. The next thing and the final thing is make sure you're feeding your mind the right things. If you are trying to get to a place that some people you're associating with have never been, you have to be careful with whom you're associating yourself with and whom you're listening to. All right. My last thought with that is this right here. Everybody that go to the airport don't get on the airplane. If you are trying to ascend, you're going to have to let some people stay in the airport while you get on the plane and take off. All right. So that's my time, man. If you've been here throughout the course, like I said, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I hope I said some things that are beneficial to you, some things that you can use. And please, man, feel free. Drop me some comments. I will come back and read them. I will come back and respond. Ask me questions, because if you say something that's good and I want to know, I'm going to ask you too. My hope here is to build a community of people who are wanting to get better and wanting to learn from each other. I may be the face and the voice that you're going to hear giving this, but you in the comments are going to be able to give me stuff that I can come back to, and I'm willing to learn from you too. Thank y'all, man. I appreciate you. I'll see y'all next week, man. Stay tuned. We got some good stuff coming.